Stay tuned because in this video we unpack the ban list, the new cards coming out in Battles of Legend, and what's gonna happen and predictions for the Euros format. Guys, I'm so excited for Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. We're in a really crazy place where all the best combo decks basically create FTK boards. At the same time, every deck can break boards. So in this video, let's unpack what it is that's gonna happen going into the next format. Let's get into it. Coming up first on the list is cards that are coming back from the ban list or coming back from previous metas, which are overshadowed thanks to decks like Kashtira. Even Forbidden Droplet is spiking in price as we're seeing people pick it up and recognize just how good that card is, which was really powerful in the Sword Sword format. They could really take advantage of the plays thanks to that card, and what is quickly becoming the better version of Dracula No More, although I still think that card has its uses, and that's why I want to mention it in this video, guys, to make sure if you don't have them already, you want to make sure you have your Ultimate Slayers and your droplets for the situation where we see a lack of Kashtira, which apparently people don't really like the deck anyway, and because of that, this just might be the breaking point for people to drop the deck, making way for Slayer and Forbidden Droplets. Having a Kaiju that takes out multiple monsters, OTKs, and steals a negate monster from your opponent's graveyard like a Baron sounds really unfair, and honestly, if you were to hear about this card back in the days, someone would have a heart attack reading it. I think decks at the moment are good enough to bait and negate them and still end on something, and when you have Kurikara to clean up the mess, it's going to make for a really easy OTK and also just steal the boss monster that they worked hard to summon. I think Kurikara really has a good spot in this format as a really good board breaker going forward. I've got my Iron Magic Deflector because of Runic and Sky Striker. Yes, the Runic hit was interesting, but to my knowledge, to what the community thinks, I think Sprite Runic might be the best version going forward, maybe with Live Twin. For that reason, and with Sky Striker really taking advantage with those new changes on the ban list, I think Magic Deflector has a good spot in the next format, and because it's a trap card, it's basically impossible that the opponent is going to respond to it. They're turning off Runic Fountain, every single card in Runic, and all the quick play cards in Sky Striker, which we know and love and probably hate as well, like Shark Cannon and Widow Anchor. So in my opinion, I think Magic Deflector is a must-have. It's a common in Abyss Rising. It hasn't been reprinted, so if you're watching this video and you haven't got them, you definitely want to make sure you have your play set ready. Are we still in a format where shifter decks are just being shifter decks and they win because of that card? And then what happens to Drone and Lockbird, guys? If Purely got hit really badly, if Kashtira got hit really badly, it's possible that Drone and Lockbird might actually start dropping out of the format, even though it's a turn killer against literally 80% of the decks right now. And I definitely think, in my opinion, that it might drop out, although maybe a side deck card, not a main deck card. Maybe the Adventure Engine comes back because of that. We'll have to wait and see. We have to talk about Wild Survivors, which will make a crazy impact into the meta game, although I'm not sure how much of an impact it will be. I know that the dinosaurs are really great, and we basically have True King Dino Yangzing back in full power minus VFD. They really only play the new dinosaur monster and like the spell card. We'll just have to wait and see with tournament reports what happens. Misty's still at 1, so I'm not holding out hopes for it being the best deck. Uvele is not that great. They actually throw it in with other ritual stuff, although the effect to remove stuff off the board by tributing is probably one of the best removals in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And also it does use to droll. And when you have a new archetype coming out, but it's just thrown in as an engine with Makanko and Libromancer and Ben 10, personally, I don't see that as scary enough. And honestly, maybe Drytron is still better, especially with Herald at 2. And the best deck out of Wild Survivors, which everyone has their radar on, is the Vanquish Soul archetype, which is actually really cool because the way they work is they always tag out from the hand. However, what I've been quite skeptical about is the attributes needed to actually do anything. It's going to be quite inconsistent if you can't get that to work. And remember, guys, in the OCG, they play a different format. They have Maxi as an Earth attribute, which to my knowledge is quite important for the Vanquish Soul archetype. But remember, they was considered tier 1 maybe for a short period of time. They main the Chaka 9, I think Ball Bro Zeus combo. They also main Tikaboo because the whole deck is a mix of attributes and types. Any deck that can main the Floodgate like Rivalry in Sword Sword or goes a match with the Shark deck, I think you're in for a really good time because that can sometimes just be considered the game ender. So I can definitely see Vanquish Souls, because of Floodgates, is just winning every tournament. I really want to talk about decks that didn't get hit on the ban list, which are now, in my opinion, straight up into the ladder in tier 1 or tier 1.5. We've got Dragon Link, Rika and Avalon, Sprite Runic or Sprite Live Twin, and then we have decks like Labyrinth and Branded. So we've got Brand Explosion here, but really Sanctify is better than Brand Explosion anyway. Can't be imperm, we can't talk about card effects. For that reason, they can still puppy lock you. But I do see these decks taking over more of the pie chart as players start to recognize and really figure out how powerful these decks are, and they've been under the radar for too long. In my opinion, I think they're both easily tier 1 decks. Manadium, Punk Pride and Marintes are 3 other rogue decks, which in my opinion are going to quickly climb up into the tier 1.5 and tier 2 with more representation, if anything, with potentially less play with Droll and Shifter. I think these 2 or 3 decks are going to have even more playability going forward. During editing of this video, I realized the Monstrous Revenge Battles of Legend cards were now released, and the new cards coming out may flip the format on a 180, and I can see cards like Duality really taking over. Assault Synchron is the first card I want to talk about. It's one of the most broken tuners we've ever gotten in the game. I'm putting this up there with Glotbo, but as one of the craziest tuners we've ever gotten in Yu-Gi-Oh! You can basically for free special summon this card, and then it's really crazy effect after that is when a Dragon Synchro monster was to banish or tribute itself, it can bring itself back. So you're really setting yourself up for one of the easiest Synchro plays ever, and all you gotta do is pay 700 life points.
Are you serious?
This card is also a 100% tech into Sprite, and you now have Herald Protection on top of your end board, which you can bring back with Double Cross. The next card I'm so excited to talk about is Numbers Last Hope, which is basically a free Exceed summon. It is a Galaxy card, it is searchable, but I truly think this card can be splashed in any Exceed deck, because all you do is target 2 monsters in your graveyard with the same level, immediately Exceed summon into any number of monsters in the game, and you are locked into summoning 1 more time from the extra deck. But let's be honest guys, if there is any broken number monster in the game, you can now officially cheat it out with this card, and I'm so excited to see this card being played. I hope it gets played. I'll definitely be trying this in Utopia, so stick around for an update deck profile, you don't want to miss it. Synchro Zone is another really quick one I want to shout out. I love this card design, and it's a great going first card for any Synchro enthusiast, with Baron being a soft once per turn negate. When they eventually get it off the board or a Beast or Dispower, you simply bring it back and it becomes a tuner. So if you have some crazy Synchro ideas, you can have a threatening Synchro on the board. When it leaves the field, bring it back as a tuner, and this card can actually immediately Synchro summon really scary stuff to set up, like a Calamity potentially. We officially have Sky Striker Ace Azalea in the game now, and this is potentially the generic link to kind of a power cube to Dagger, but just keep in mind that you need 3 spots in grave, or this card does die after using its effect. To a lot of decks, this card is super splashable. Potentially some Sky Striker engines might actually happen now, as this can tag out into the rest of them. Shadows Light and Duality are game-changing cards, and I cannot wait to put this card in the live and see what results I come out with. Even in Manadium, even in my Visas Power deck, these 2 cards are game-changing, and I think for the Dragon Link strategy, these cards may just push that deck to the top, because if you can freely special summon a monster from the extra deck, like a Synchro or a Fusion, the Shadows Light, I can see myself popping the right card, getting out the Realm Heart, giving me an extra normal summon. If I use these cards in the 60 card Visas 4 Heart combo, I think it would have been even easier if I had a card like this. And those are the cards from Battles of Legends Monstrous Revenge that are really going to have an impact on the meta. I think these cards are going to absolutely destroy the concept of what we thought the Euros meta was going to be in the format, and I cannot wait for these cards to release. And I think Euros format is going to be really, really special guys. I cannot wait. And make sure to click subscribe and stay tuned. We're doing more Manadium content as we climb our way into the Euros format, and I'll see you guys soon.